Your tomb is empty now. Not a metaphor, not a feeling, a fact written in fire across the ceiling of heaven the moment you drew your first breath on this earth. You didn't stumble onto this video. You didn't accidentally click. Something deeper than algorithm, deeper than chance, deeper than coincidence pulled you here with invisible hands. And if you feel that, if your chest just tightened reading those words, that's because this message was sealed with your name before you were born. There are people who watch spiritual content, and then there are people who are the content. People whose lives were never meant to be ordinary. People who have been broken in ways that don't make sense, isolated in ways that feel like punishment, overlooked in ways that felt like rejection, but were actually preparation. You are one of those people. This Easter is not like the others. Something shifted in the spiritual atmosphere. A frequency changed, a door opened, and heaven didn't whisper your name this time. Heaven screamed it. They screamed it over your depression, over your failures, over the relationships that collapsed, over the years that felt wasted, over the version of you that almost gave up last winter and the one before that. This Easter, resurrection isn't just a story you were told in church. It's a personal announcement, a divine declaration, a heaven-sent message that says the season of burial is over. Your tomb is empty now, and what walks out is not who you were before. If you felt something reading that hook, if your heart recognized this message, type "chosen" in the comments right now. Let heaven count you. Part 1. The weight you've been carrying was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. There's a specific kind of pain that chosen ones carry. It doesn't look like everyone else's pain. It goes deeper. It lasts longer. It comes back in waves when you thought you had finally healed. You've wondered why you feel things so intensely, why you can feel a room the moment you walk in, why strangers tell you their secrets, why you absorb grief like a sponge and joy like sunlight, why you lie awake at 3 a.m. not anxious exactly, but aware, like something is coming, like you're waiting for a life that hasn't arrived yet. That sensitivity is not a weakness. It is the architecture of your assignment. God doesn't give ordinary tools to extraordinary people. The depth of your feeling is proportional to the depth of your calling. The more you have survived, the more you are qualified to lead others through survival. The more you have wept, the more your voice carries the frequency of genuine comfort. But here's what they never told you. Chosen ones are often the last to know they are chosen. You have been looking at yourself through the eyes of people who were never meant to define you. People who felt threatened by your light and called it arrogance. People who felt exposed by your depth and called it too much. People who feared your potential and called it unrealistic. You believed them. For years, maybe decades, you wore their verdict like a sentence. You made yourself smaller. You dimmed yourself down. You edited your dreams to fit the smallness of someone else's imagination. But this Easter, something cracks open. A truth returns that was buried under every lie you were handed. You were not too much. You were too much for the wrong people. You were not broken. You were being reshaped. You were not abandoned by God in those dark seasons. You were being held in the only kind of fire that produces gold. The weight you've been carrying was not punishment. It was curriculum. And this Easter, you graduate.
Part 2. The silence of God was not his absence. It was his preparation of your miracle. There's a moment in the resurrection story that most people skip. The hours between death and rising, the silence, the stillness, the unbearable quiet when everyone who loved Jesus wondered if it was truly over. You know that silence. You have lived in it. You prayed and heard nothing. You believed and saw nothing. You held on and felt nothing move. And in that silence, doubt crept in. Maybe it wasn't real. Maybe I was foolish. Maybe I misread everything, and this faith was just a beautiful illusion. But listen to what the silence actually was. It was God working at a level your eyes could not access. It was transformation happening in dimensions invisible to human sight. It was the most important work being done in the most hidden place. Your silence was not God's abandonment. It was God's laboratory. Chosen ones are not spared the silence. They are deepened by it. While you were waiting, you were also changing. While you were wondering if God forgot you, God was removing from you every layer that could not survive the next season of your life. Every relationship that would have distracted you, every comfort that would have made you too soft for what's coming, every version of yourself that was too small to carry the weight of what heaven assigned to your hands. The silence was preparation, not punishment. And the cruelest part is that you couldn't see it while it was happening. You had to trust in the dark. You had to believe in the invisible. You had to keep moving when every logical signal said stop. That is faith, not the comfortable kind, the terrifying kind, the kind that makes no sense to the people watching you, the kind that looks like foolishness to every rational voice around you. But this Easter, the silence breaks. What was prepared in the hidden place is about to walk into the visible world. What was developed in the darkness is about to be displayed in the light. The God who was silent was never absent. He was building something that required absolute stillness to construct. And it is finished, and it is ready, and it is yours. Part 3. Every person who left you was God clearing the room for what's coming. This one might hurt, but it needs to be said. The people who left you were supposed to leave you. The friendships that dissolved without explanation, the relationships that ended in confusion, the communities that rejected you even when you gave everything you had, the family members who couldn't understand you no matter how hard you tried to explain yourself. They were not mistakes, they were removals. God doesn't always send angels to guide chosen ones forward. Sometimes He sends departures. Sometimes the most divine thing He does for your future is clear the space around you from everything that was consuming your energy, diluting your focus and slowing your evolution. You grieved those losses. Of course you did. You are human, and love is real, and absence leaves real wounds. You questioned yourself every time. You replayed every conversation. You asked what you did wrong. You tried to make sense of the senseless. But here is what you couldn't see from inside the grief. Every person who left created a vacancy. And vacancies are not permanent. They are invitations, spaces cleared and consecrated for something new to arrive, something aligned, something that can actually hold the weight of who you are becoming. The loneliness you felt in those years was not God's rejection of you. It was God's protection of your next chapter. It was Him ensuring that when the right people arrived, you would recognize them, that you would not be too distracted by the noise of misalignment to hear the music of your true connections approaching. Chosen ones often go through periods of profound aloneness, not because they are unlovable, because they are being prepared for a different quality of connection, deeper, more intentional, built on authenticity rather than comfort, built on assignment rather than convenience. This Easter, the room is almost ready. The clearing is almost complete. The right people, the right opportunities, the right season, they're not far. What left you made room for this.
Part 4. This Easter is your resurrection, not theirs, yours. Let's stop for a moment. Let's be completely honest with each other. You have been living someone else's resurrection story. You have been watching other people transform. You have been celebrating other people's breakthroughs. You have been sharing other people's testimonies while quietly, in the private chambers of your heart, wondering when it would be your turn. You have been waiting, for years maybe, for that moment when it all clicks, when the calling becomes clear, when the breakthrough arrives, when the version of you that you see in your most honest dreams finally shows up in your actual life. This Easter, I need you to hear this. That version is not coming. They are not arriving from somewhere else. They are not waiting for permission from circumstances or timing or other people's approval. That version of you is rising right now, from the inside out, from the ground up, from the tomb of everything that tried to bury you. The resurrection of Jesus was not just historical theology. It was a blueprint. It was God demonstrating to every chosen one across every generation that what appears dead can live again, that what appears finished can begin again, that what appears broken beyond repair can become the most powerful testimony in the room. Your depression was a tomb, but tombs are temporary. Your failures were burial cloths, but burial cloths can be unraveled. Your fears were the stone rolled across the entrance, but stones can be moved by hands you haven't seen yet. This Easter, heaven screamed your name, not in a gentle indoor voice, not in a polite Sunday morning whisper. Heaven screamed it across every dimension, over every doubt, through every closed door, past every person who said you weren't enough, and every version of yourself that believed them. Your name is written in fire. Your path is carved in stone. Your resurrection is not a request. It is a declaration. Rise, chosen one. Rise. You came to this video carrying something heavy. You know what it is. The weight of wondering if it was ever going to happen for you. The quiet exhaustion of believing in a future you couldn't see. The private fear that maybe you had been wrong about yourself all along. Put that down now. Lay it here. Leave it at the entrance of this moment. Because this Easter, you don't carry that anymore. This is the day the story changes. Not because circumstances changed, because you changed. Because something inside you recognizes the truth that was spoken here and cannot unrecognize it. Because heaven's scream is still echoing in your chest and you can feel it moving things inside you that have been still for too long. The chosen ones don't always have the easiest lives. They have the most meaningful ones. They don't always have the smoothest roads. They have the most transformative journeys. They don't always receive the most applause. They create the most impact. That is you. That has always been you. On the other side of every storm, every silence, every loss, every doubt, every night that felt endless, that was always you. And this Easter, heaven made it official. You were called, you were chosen, you were kept through everything that tried to destroy you. And now you are rising, slowly, powerfully, irreversibly rising. Your tomb is empty. Walk out, chosen one. The world needs what only you carry. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, if something in your spirit said, "This was for me," share this with someone who needs their resurrection today. They're waiting for someone exactly like you to find them.